What the heck is up, guys? It's Jacob here, and today we're going to start this tutorial series on um, load balancing Apache servers, PHP and Apache servers. So this is kind of going to go along with the large-scale web hosting for a single website. What we're going to do is cluster together some Apache servers. We're going to create two Apache nodes, which will host the websites. They'll be separate nodes, and then we'll have one load balancer, which um, brings them together into like a central location where we can access it through a web browser, and it'll send us to either of the two Apache nodes. Now I'm kind of laying down here in bed on my laptop. I'm doing this on my laptop. I'm gonna sit up because I will get way too comfortable and probably lose track of what I'm doing. So here we go. We have three servers running here. They're all virtual machines. I decided to do this virtual machines because, trust me, guys, it just makes life so much easier. These little things are annoying. Anyways, we're running Ubuntu Server 12.04. These are i386 images. Not that it matters, but they're only images that will run on my Intel machine right now because I have an i5 on this. So, anyways, for the sake of this tutorial, just letting you guys know, these are all exactly the same. These are clones of each other. So these have the exact same packages installed and everything on them. In fact, these are clean images right now. Nothing has been installed on these. Nothing has been pre-installed. When I installed the operating system, I didn't even install the SSH, the terminal. I didn't install OpenSSH, so there's absolutely nothing installed on these at all. These are fresh installs of Ubuntu Server 12.04. So it doesn't matter whether you're running the AMD 64 or the i386. It's really the same. It's not going to be any different as far as setting it up, but it'll obviously be a little bit more powerful system. These are just virtual machines. So anyways, we have just so you guys know, if you guys are ever lost, up in the top here we have i386-1, i386-2, and i386-3. So I probably could have named them something a little bit better, but that's how I named all my servers. Anyways, the 1 and the 2 are going to be our Apache nodes for this tutorial series, and the 3 is going to be our load balancer. So if you're ever wondering what the hell is he working on right now, just look at the top here, and if it's 3, it's the load balancer. 1 or 2, those are going to be the two Apache nodes. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by logging in on these servers. So let's go ahead and log into this one, and our password. Go ahead and log into this one. I don't know why it didn't let me in on that first one. I'll try it again. Okay, so let's retry this one. Oops. And this is a new laptop, so I'm kind of like not used to the keyboard, so I make typos a lot. Anyways, we can see that they all have the exact same thing. These are literally clones of each other. 69 package updates, 32 security updates on each and every single one. They're exactly the same machine. There's no difference. So we're going to go ahead and start with the two Apache nodes. So for the Apache nodes, what's different, okay, in my last, I've done a tutorial before on installing LAMP. So we'd go, sudo apt-get install LAMP server, whatever. But what that does, when you install LAMP, is you're installing Apache, PHP, MySQL, and it doesn't install PHP MyAdmin. But the thing is you're installing MySQL. These are our Apache nodes. Our MySQL servers are going to be separate. So all we're going to do is we're going to run a sudo apt-get install, and we're going to run Apache 2. So we're going to install Apache 2. And then, of course, it's going to ask you for your sudo password. And it's going to ask us if you want to do it. Yes, we're going to hit yes, of course. And then we're going to go ahead and do that on the second one. Sudo apt get install Apache 2. So now, these are going to both have Apache configured on them, so they'll be able to host web pages. And they will be able to host, this will only be able to host like HTML and stuff like that. So we're going to have to install PHP 5 as well to allow us to host PHP files as well. So on the load balancer, I didn't explain this. I should have explained it at the beginning of the video. Whoops. But there's a million different ways to do this, guys. There's so many different ways. There's really no right or wrong way. There's tons and tons of software out there that has been designed to do this. There's like Zen. Um, I'm sure I think there's a Squid one. There's, I don't even know. There's like a million different software choices to do load balancing. It's not even funny how many different load balancing um, solutions there are. What we're going to use is actually not a specific piece of software. We're actually going to use Apache itself um, to do the load balancing. You can use Apache to load balance Apache servers, and not a lot of people know that. But if you have the right modules installed, if you have the right modules installed and you do the proxy server, you can use Apache itself to act as a load balancer. So that's what we're going to do. So again, we're not working on the load balancer yet. Let me just actually get that out of the picture. So we're in the same exact spot. We have Apache 2 installed on both of these servers. Now we're going to go ahead and run the sudo apt-get install, and we're going to run php5. It's going to call php5. So just go ahead and do that. Hit yes, and we're going to do the same thing here. And say php5. So it's going to install php5, yes. And then so what you will have in the end, let's just give it a second. It shouldn't take too long. That's all you install on the two Apache servers, the Apache nodes. And this is enough to run your web server. You should not need anything more to run your web server. These will be the part that actually put together your web page. Then on top of this, of course, you'll have your MySQL cluster, which we'll get into that in another video. But we're, for now, just clustering the Apache and PHP parts. And they kind of work together. PHP and Apache are pretty much hand-in-hand things. So let's go ahead and look at the actual load balancing machine while those are loading. So for the load balancing machine, we're going to do the same thing. We're actually going to run a sudo apt, let me see, apt, get, this keyboard is way different than what I'm used to, and install Apache 2. So sudo apt-get install Apache 2, and put in our password. There we go. So it's going to ask us, of course, yes or no, and we're going to go ahead and say yes. So it shouldn't take much longer. Okay, so this server is just about done. If we actually go, the thing with these virtual servers is they're a little bit different as far as their IP addresses. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain stuff while they're loading. We are going to set static IP addresses, but we are going to use a host-only adapter, which is why... Okay, so this one is done. We're going to use a host-only adapter in these, so I will change the adapters once we go, because right now we can't actually access these servers on a web browser. If I go ifconfig, we can see that the address is 10.0.2.15. And if I go to a web browser, you guys probably can't see this in here, so I'll just bring it down into the... So if I go 10.0.2.15 right there, it's not going to load. The web browser will time out. It should have responded at this point. So the current adapters that the machines have won't work. Now, obviously, in a real server setting, you won't have to worry about this, but you will need to set static IP addresses on all three of these servers. They will need static IP addresses. So let's go ahead and manage that. This is literally all the software we need to install. There's not anything else. So we shouldn't need the internet anymore. I am going to go ahead and run all the mods just in case we do need to install those. I think they do install, I don't know. So to add the mods to this server, so we are using, right now we just have plain old Apache installed on this load balancing server. So what we need to do is we're going to go ahead and say a to enmod. So this is going to basically, it's going to have a module, and it's going to enable it. It's going to basically enable a module. So we're going to enable the module proxy, P-R-O-X-Y, so a2enmod proxy. Oh, you're going to need to sudo this as well. Let's see, sudo that, and run that. So it says, okay, It did it, and we need to restart Apache. Now, we're not going to restart Apache quite yet because there's a few more modules we have to install. We're going to run the sudo a2en mod. Actually, it's the same thing. Proxy, proxy. This one's called proxy balancer, balancer, underscore balancer. So sudo a2en mod proxy balancer. Okay, so it's saying same thing. Okay, it did it, and we need to restart Apache. There's one more that we need to do, and that is the a2en mod. This one's the proxy HTTP. So there we go. And that's pretty much it. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is just restart Apache. We're going to go sudo /etc /init.d/apache2 restart. And that'll restart it. So there it is, and it says it's unable to do find the server's FQDN, the domain name, the fully qualified domain name. For now, that doesn't matter for us. That's for another tutorial if we do set that up, but it doesn't really matter. We're just using IP addresses in this case. But obviously in a real setting, you'd want to set up the fully qualified domain name, and that's just like you would in any Apache server. Just in the settings of the Apache server, you just set up the FQDN. So that's it for our load balancer. We shouldn't have to do anything else for now before we change our host adapters. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is actually change all the adapters, and I'll pause the video because it's not really anything you guys need to know how to do unless you're doing it in VirtualBox. If you guys want to know how to do it real quick, I'll just show it to you. Actually, I closed the actual VirtualBox thing here. So basically all we have to do real quick here is just go ahead and go into the network here and change it to a host-only adapter, and then we set the IP addresses. So that's pretty much all we need to do. But I'm going to go ahead and do this and restart the machines and everything off video because you guys really don't need to see that. Alright guys, so we have restarted all the machines. Let's go ahead and log in real quick. Whoops, I already did that wrong. Sorry to take you through this painful process. Okay, so these are the two Apache nodes. Let's just work on these for now. Okay, so what we're going to do is actually set a static IP for all three of these. So in case you don't know how to do that, if you do know how to do it, you can probably skip through this part, but we're going to set a static IP for all three of these, and just because this is going to be a step-by-step, I'm going to literally just take you guys through all of it. So you guys are going to see the painful process of setting the IP addresses for all these. But, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go ahead and run the sudo vi/etc/ I'm lost now. I totally lose it when I'm making videos. /network/interfaces. Like, I can do it really good, but then once I'm doing it on video, I always forget. I don't know why. So anyways, here we are. Actually, I'll just set up one, and then once I show you guys how to do one, it's the exact same for the rest of them, so you guys should be able to figure it out on your own. So if you don't know how to set a static IP address, we're just going to do one server, and the rest of them are literally exactly the same, just set the different address. So we changed the DHCP. We have auto eth0. eth0 is our adapter, and it said DHCP. We took that out. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is change it to static. And normally there's like 12 parameters you put in here. It's ridiculous. There's a ton of parameters. You have like the broadcast and the network and the this and the that. Because these are virtual machines and we're just doing a minimal setup, really all we need is the address. So we're going to set that. I'm going to set my IP scheme to 192.168.56.101. So our first server is going to be .101. Okay, and then we need a net mask. And for this, we're going to say 255.255.255.0. And then we need a gateway. That's all we need for our little virtual machines here. And for this, it's going to be 192.168. I'm sorry, not 169. It's going to be .168. 168.56.100. Okay, so for the other virtual machines, for the other Apache node and the load balancer, the net mask and the gateway will be exactly the same, and our second Apache node will be .102, so 192.168.56.102, and the load balancer will be .103, so .101, 102, 103. Okay, so that's it. And we're going to set all three of those. I'm just going to set this one on the video because there's really no use in showing you guys all of them. So we hit escape, colon, W to write, Q to quit. So it's going to write and quit that. And then when we're done, we have to restart the interface. So now it's going to be sudo /etc/init.d/networking and then restart, just like that. And that'll restart our interfaces. So it's giving us some weird little thing here. That doesn't matter. It did that to me yesterday as well, so it doesn't really matter. In this case, it's probably because it's a virtual machine. But so now let's try this. Well, let's just go ahead and hit ifconfig real quick just to see how our address works. ifconfig. And we can see that we do have our address. So now if we try it in the browser, if we go 192.168.1, okay, I was running it yesterday, so that's why these addresses started in there, and .101, so this is the first Apache node, and it does not work for some reason. Why doesn't it work? Okay, so it turns out the reason it wasn't working is because we have the actual two servers are running the same IP address right now, so there is an IP conflict. If we ifconfig this, they both have the .101 address, the server 1 and server 2, so that's why it's not working. So I'm going to go ahead and set all three addresses, then we'll go ahead and test it in the browser to make sure that it is working. Alright, so I set the address on all three of the servers. Let's go ahead and actually just clear things up a little bit. Okay, so if we run an ifconfig, so this is our load balancer. It's got the .103 address, as we can see right there. This is the node 2. It's got the 102 address, and in this first Apache node and it's got the .101 address right there. So now if we go to a web browser, they all should pop up in the web browser. If we go ahead and go and say 192.168.1.101, so there's the first server. Here you guys can't see that. Let me put that into the, there we go. So that's the first server. The second server is 192.168.102. So there we go. And then the third server is .103, and it's the same thing. So let's go ahead and change these pages so that we can tell the difference, because right now they're hosting the standard default page that just kind of, you can't really tell the difference between them. I can't tell if this is server 1 or server 2. The only difference I know is because it's this address, but the pages are the same. So let's go ahead and put a different page on each one. Obviously, if you're hosting a real website, you'd want the same content on all the servers, but just to show how it works, we're going to go ahead and change the pages just to show you which server is which. So we're actually going to go ahead and go into these nodes here. We're going to go into the, let's go ahead and, go into the first node right here, and we're going to change this to, we're going to sudo vi/var/www/index.html. And what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and just go ahead and add a little line in here. This is the actual index.html page that the web server will host. So we're going to put a h2, a header 2, and we're going to say server 1, okay? So this is server 1, and we're going to close that header and escape, right and quit, and then so that file is in there. So now if we refresh this server, it says server 1. Okay, now this server is obviously not saying that because we didn't put that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to work on that second node now, and we're going to change that one to server 2. Let's bring it up. Right, that's the third node. Sorry, guys. So this is the second Apache node right. Nope, this is it right here. So sudo vi / var / www / index.html, and then we're going to go ahead and insert, and then h2 server 2, and then close that second header. And there you go. Okay, so now if we refresh it, on this server it says server 2, this one says server 1, and of course the .103 is still just a normal server. Now we're not going to actually change anything on here because this isn't going to be a web server. It's actually going to be a load balancer, so this really won't matter actually in the end. So let's go ahead and actually work on that now. Our two Apache servers are pretty much done. So for the sake of this tutorial, let's just go ahead and no, let's not power them off. I can cancel that. Let's just kind of bring them out of the picture right now. Let's just minimize them, and we're just going to work on the third node now. This is our load balancer, and this is all we have left to configure because we have our two Apache servers. Assuming you have the content already on them, this is being a little pain in the ass. Assuming you have the content on them and their matching servers are identical, now we can have our load balancer to bring them together to host that content from one IP address and distribute our clients. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Alright guys, so here we are working on the load balancer. So basically, as of now, this is just a standard Apache server. So we have already enabled the mods on here, the proxy mods. So basically what this is a reverse proxy server which points to our other Apache servers, our two nodes. Or you can have multiple nodes. You can have more than two nodes if you wanted to. So where are we? Here we go. So if we go ahead and say, what we're going to do is just edit a few configuration files. Now this file actually doesn't exist when you first do it. So when you first go to edit it, so you're going to actually make this file. So sudo vi, and it's going to be /etc, whoops, /etc /apache, apache2 /config.d /proxy proxy -balancer. Now, don't get this confused with the underscore like we used in the past. This is just a dash. So, like I said, this file doesn't exist yet. We're just going to go ahead and make it. So, we're going to go ahead and insert some things. So, what we're going to go ahead and say is proxy, proxy balancer. And just kind of copy this exactly as I'm putting it. I mean, honestly, I'm not a wizard. I got this from another source. I mean, you can change a few things in here, but sometimes this has to be exact, you know? It has to be exactly spelled correctly, and if it doesn't, the Apache server will give you an error, which you can find in the log, the error log, and go and troubleshoot it and whatnot, but it's too much of a pain in the ass. So just copy it as I'm doing it. The only thing that might be different is your addresses, obviously. But anyways, so we're going to go / my cluster. And I'm pretty sure, like I said, I got this from another source. I mean, I'm not a wizard. I don't make this stuff off the top of my head. But I'm pretty sure my cluster is just a name. You could probably name it anything you wanted to. But this proxy balancer has to be exact, that part. And of course, you put the little arrow bracket things, whatever you call those. You have to have those. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is spell this BALANCE, balance, capital member. Okay, so just like that. and it has to be exact. If you, oh, sorry, balancer member. I made this mistake before too. Balancer member. And if you don't type it just like that, Apache will give you an error. It will say, you know, this line is screwed up. So now what you're going to go ahead and do is say HTTP : / and then this is the IP addresses of your nodes. So in our case, we only have 2 nodes, but you can put as many as you want, as many Apache nodes as you want. And here you just say the address of your Apache node. So 192.168.56.101. So that's our first node. And we just do the same thing for each and every single one. So balancer member HTTP / 192, whoops, .168.56.102. So these are our 2 Apache nodes, and this is the configuration for them. Now what you're going to put in here is the load balance method. So this is identified through the key term lb method. So if you say lb method, and you can say equals, and then you can put a method in here. Now remember how I said your Apache server is going to it's gonna kind of create an algorithm your load balancer is going to create an algorithm how it points to a specific Apache server. It may go based off the load on the server. It may go based off the requests. It may go based off of traffic. So this is where you select which Apache server are we going to use. You know, if you have a whole list of, like, let's say 50 Apache servers here, in our case we only have 2, but if you have a ton of Apache servers, how's it going to know which one to choose? How's it going to know which one has the least amount of load? Well, this is where you use the method. Now there's a method called by requests, like that. And basically what this does is it's just counting the number of requests, and it just evenly distributes them. Then there's by traffic, and this counts the actual packets going in and out of the servers, the Apache nodes, and it sees which one has the most and the least amount of traffic, and it distributes them throughout the servers based on the amount of traffic they have. And then there's by busyness, which is how busy the servers are. By busyness. So in our case, right now, we're just going to go ahead and leave it blank. If you leave it blank, the default is by requests. So it's going to be by requests. So then what we'll do after that is we're going to go ahead and just close this whole proxy thing. So we're going to go ahead and say /proxy and close that. So now what we have is just the Apache nodes in there, and then we're going to go ahead and say one more thing. We're going to make this pass the proxy pass. This has to be capital. I don't think it has to be, but I've always made it capital. It just makes it easier to read. And then we're going to go ahead and say balancer. The same exact words that we used up here, the same exact my cluster cluster, the same name we gave our cluster up there is what we're going to put down here. So then what we're going to go ahead and do is escape right quit, and we're going to go ahead and restart Apache. Let's go ahead and just sudo /etc/init.d/apache to restart. So now it's going to go, and if there is any errors, it will usually give it to you once we start it up. It's still giving us the same fqdn error, which doesn't really matter for us right now. Alright guys, so this is just one of those little editing things I'm just going to throw in the middle of the video because I totally forgot to mention it. But here on this line where we said sudo vi and we edited this proxy balancer script that we made. If we go ahead and edit it real quick, you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Here, let me just go ahead and go like that. So this is one where we define the actual the servers, the actual nodes. But what I didn't tell you guys is about this slash down here. Now this is actually pretty cool. It's a nice little piece of information to know. This slash right here signifies the www directory on the remote server. So if you just have a plain slash right there, when you access this load balancer, it's going to point to your Apache nodes on the www directory, assuming you have that slash there, and if you have this slash right there. Now if you put a directory name on there that's on the Apache node, so let's say you have a directory called login. Now if you have /login, when you access this this load balancer, it's going to point to the login directory on the www inside these Apache nodes. So it's going to take you straight to the login directory. The problem is it doesn't just redirect you straight to the login directory, you only have access to files in the login directory. So this will make it just kind of refines where you are accessing the remote, not the remote, but these Apache nodes right here. So this load balancer will access these Apache servers on the login directory, which of course is in the root www directory. Or if you just put the slash, it just takes you straight to the root www directory. So one more thing that we need to configure in the Apache balancer, the load balancer here, is we need to go ahead and edit this other file, this sudo vi /etc /apache2 /mods enabled, and then we're going to go ahead and go to proxy /proxy.conf, and we're just going to go ahead and inside here we're going to remove these little comments from here to uncomment these to make them actually apply these little proxy tags here, and then we're going to remove this deny from all tag, and we're going to change it to allow. So we're going to allow from all. Now again, this is just for web servers. I mean, you got to be careful. We don't want people using your proxy server and proxying things through your server. You have to have your servers properly protected behind a firewall and everything. But if you're just using it as a load balancer behind a firewall, you should be okay using this setting. So now we'll go ahead and restart Apache one more time, and it doesn't give us any errors, so that's good. So now let's go ahead and refresh this web browser, and if we refresh it, we can see that now it's pointing us to server 1. This is now no longer giving us that web page. In fact, let's go inside here. Let's go sudo rm. Let's remove the /var/www/index.html. So now if we list the var/www, inside there's nothing. So there's nothing in the www host on this server. Because it's a load balancer, it's not hosting the files that are on this server, it's hosting the other servers. So now we can see as we refresh this web browser of our load balancer, it's pointing to our 2 web servers. So now it evenly distributes the load, remember, based on the request. We're going by requests. So now whenever a client visits your website, okay, you're not pointing them to your Apache server. Okay, so if I were to have my website hosted on the internet, I would port forward this load balancing server. I would not port forward these servers. These servers would not even see the internet. These servers do not connect to the internet at all. They do not even need an internet connection, okay? But these servers, this is the load balancer. This connects to the internet, it's port forwarded, it talks to these servers, it sees which one's available. In this case, it's just evenly distributing them, and it's pulling the information, the requests from these Apache servers. So these are just static servers. No matter how many times you refresh it, that's that server. So let's close that, and this is the server 2. And then this is our load balancer, and it'll bounce between as many Apache servers as you have, and it will distribute the load. And if one goes down, let's go ahead and take one down. And this is another cool thing. So let's go ahead and go to, this is the second node, right? So if we go ahead and just actually shut it down. Let's just go ahead and totally shut down the server. So let's just say we lost a server. So now, if we go ahead and refresh it, that was server 2. Now, when we refresh it, we only see server 1. This is because server 2 is down, and it knows not to go to server 2. It'll automatically stop going to server 2. So it creates a sense of what do you call it? Redundancy, reliability. It's a lot better in that sense. So and it evenly distributes your load through the servers. So that's how we can load balance our Apache servers. That's pretty much it for the load balancer. Like I said, there's a million different ways you can do this. There's so many methods, but I like using this way. We're not using really any software or anything. We're just using Apache itself. So that makes it really magical. Besides that, that's pretty much it for this setup. If you guys have any more questions or there's something you're concerned about or you want to know, just go ahead and hit me up at thehackhub.com. Go to /forums, become a member. It's free. It's awesome. There's lots of people there that can help you with stuff like this, and I'll be more than happy to give you more detail or whatever it is that you need to set this up. In the next tutorial, we're going to be setting up redundant load balancers because, okay, now let's say this load balancer were to take a shitter, it's going down and it falls out of the network for some reason. Let's say it crashes. It's getting a lot of requests, right? But your Apache servers are actually serving those requests. But if you lose this load balancing server, you're screwed because now when your clients go to visit your website, there's no load balancer to point to any Apache server. So even if all your Apache servers are good, your load balancer is not good and your site's going to go down. So that's a weak spot. It is grouping your Apache servers together. That's great. But it's not your load balancer. If it takes a crapper, it's done, you know? So that's a weak spot here, but that's a whole nother tutorial. We're going to talk about using a program called Heartbeat where we can have multiple load balancing servers like this, and they will talk to each other and make sure that they're still live, and if one goes down, the other one will keep the whole network up and everything, so it's all good there. So that's the next video. We'll talk about creating redundant load balancers and using the program Heartbeat to keep them together. So that's pretty much it for this one, you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave some comments below. I probably won't answer them because I hate YouTube. Like the video if you guys liked it. Subscribe to my channel. And visit me at thehackhub.com. And like always, guys, have a good one.